Serious, men of Reddit who have been raped by women, what's your story? My piano teacher, 35 female. I was about 11 when I first went, probably 14 when I finished. She was married, had a child. It started with comments. Inappropriate ones. Looking back, she was testing the water. Sitting next to me on the piano stool, hand on legs at times. I remember her telling me my eyes are up here. Just to make me feel awkward, when I know I wasn't looking. She then flashed me them saying, would I focus now? I was so nervous and had no idea what to say. It got a little bit worse each week, ever so slowly. I honestly have blanked this out my mind for years. I think she touched me and made me come, and that's it, nothing more. I made an excuse and quit piano to my parents. Never told anyone the full extent. She used to let me get away with not doing piano work and say it was our secret, which I realized she was encompassing the whole thing being our secret. I'm deeply embarrassed about it. I'm 27 and totally believe my kinks are related to that experience. How messed up, eh? You're not messed up. You were a victim of someone else being messed up. Maybe try therapy, it helps you process and make sense of the stuff that's happened to you. Either way, I hope you find peace. My kinks are also related to my experiences. I imagine it has to do with us now actually having control. Very often trauma victims act out their trauma consensually at a later date in a safe environment, or develop kinks, etc. directed towards the event. It's totally normal and is how our brain rationalizes and comes to terms with sexual trauma. It enables the body to understand that now it is a choice, and helps it not be so destroyed by the initial event. Please don't feel weird about it. I am the same way. She groomed and assaulted you, point blank. Sexually harassed, manipulated, cornered, and assaulted. She is a pedophile and has many problems and desires within herself. Obviously, she never worked on and never bothered controlling herself. There's no telling how many kids she may have done this to. There's nothing to be embarrassed about, you were a literal child. You knew no better. You did nothing wrong, man. That's the thing about teachers with younger kids but old enough to feel shame. They are so confused by the acts that they don't quite understand the level of atrocity they have experienced, but feel such a deep level of shame and embarrassment they don't report. It's absolutely vile for someone to do this. As always, if you need someone to talk to, my inbox is always open. Well, I wasn't violently raped or anything like that. But I was 13 and she was like 30. It was wrong, I was a child and she groomed me. I don't think I have any residual trauma or anything like that, but I do feel upset when I think about it. Well, I wasn't violently raped or anything, fortunately, and unfortunately, violent rape, i.e. abductions, almost never happen. Obviously not a real stat, but I'd wager 90% is incidents like this where one party was unconscious, underage, guilted into it, etc. Unfortunately, this happens much more than any one person could ever know, as much of it goes unreported for the same reasons mentioned above. It's usually someone you know. The woman in question was a family friend that I spent a lot of time around. Nobody ever would have suspected her, and I still feel low-key ashamed that I didn't say anything to anyone. My best friend got me plastered drunk, and when I tried to say no, she said, "Do you really think you can say no to me?" I didn't even know what had happened until she confessed that she had raped me. Edit, this read confusing to me, so to clarify. I don't remember it happening, or telling her no. I was blacked out. She confessed to me years later that she was sober enough to know what she was doing was wrong, knew I couldn't consent, and that I had tried to stop her and she forced me. I only remember waking up naked, with cuts on my back from her fingernails. Do you really think you can say no to me? When I was 18 or so, an acquaintance made a pass at me and I declined. I wasn't feeling it, she was a bit drunk and had something of a reputation. Not much longer after that, I left the college we were at to head home. I'd been home for about 5 minutes when my back door swung open and she barged in screaming that no one was allowed to turn her down. She'd followed me home to find out where I lived. After trying to reason with her for 5 minutes, I eventually decided that the last thing I needed was my mother waking up to a drunk co-ed in our house screaming that we needed to have sex, so I eventually scooted her off to my bedroom and went through the motions of foreplay / hooking up for the 15 minutes it took her to pass out. 20-some years later, and about the only memory of it I really have is the sickly sweet rancid smell of whatever peach wine she'd been drinking on her breath, and her saying something like the rules of engagement for tonight: there will be no fluid exchange, before she took my penis in her mouth. There wasn't. It wasn't a flattering experience. That is still rape. Using pressure and coercion to procure sex is rape. Yeah, I can hear that you could have just said no crowd, but having been in that situation, you feel just as dirty and violated, like you don't have bodily autonomy. No one should feel that way, and I'm sorry. I was around 14 in boarding school in Nigeria. No alcohol or anything involved, and it was 4 girls in senior class, and it was some sort of initiation to a gang. I went out to take a pee around midnight. Yeah, the only option was by the bush that late. Remember weeing, and they attacked me from behind. They pinned me down and took rounds with me. Couldn't go anymore after the second girl, so they just beat me up pretty bad and left. Didn't say a word about it to anyone till this day. One of the girls was expelled a while later for being pregnant. They pinned in on her school boyfriend at the time. Something still tells me that kid is mine. P.S. I was very scrawny and scared to crap, so I don't scream for anything, plus one of them had a machete, tools we used to clear fields from wild grass, etc. Bro, I'm so sorry to hear that. This is really effed up. That's super effed up. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry that this happened to you. I hope you're in a better place now, and that you have others that you can confide in when you feel comfortable. That's awful. I'm sorry, friend. Obligatory note: this happened to a friend of mine, not to me. I have a gay friend. He's smart, fun to be with, and would generally be regarded as very good looking. He is also rather small, about 5 feet 4 inches or 5 feet 5 inches, I'd guess, though I think he wears lips, so I'm not sure. He's the kind of person with a big personality, so you don't notice his height so much. One thing that it took me a very long time to notice is that he is extremely nervous around women, particularly if they are taller and or stockier than he is. He's small and slim. I remarked on this to him a couple of times, but he always brushed it off. Eventually, though, he explained that he'd been raped by a woman at a party. He explained that she was taller and heavier than him, and had a similar female friend. Both of them found him attractive, and he implied to me that one of them clearly had a fetish for smaller men. The friend basically held him down in one of the bedrooms upstairs from the party. I think he'd gone upstairs to use the bathroom, while the woman pulled down his pants and raped him. I believe this was oral and vaginal sex. For obvious reasons, I didn't ask about the details. I asked him why he hadn't gone to the police, but he explained that he didn't believe that they would help. I had the impression that he had approached the crisis center at his college, but they seemed to have brushed it off. I don't know why. From what I can work out, the experience left him badly traumatized, and he continues to be very uncomfortable around women. He doesn't really talk about it though. I only learned about this because I happened to press him on the issue. It does seem a terrible thing to have to endure, though. Unfortunately, a lot of the crisis centers at colleges are of the mindset that men are bad, and that only women can be raped. Now, before someone tries to rip me apart, I did say a lot, not all. There are definitely exceptions to this. The crisis center of a college is about the same as HR for a company. They are there for the college/boss, not the student/employee. Go to the police. The police don't give a F about a university's reputation. The police don't give a F about a university's reputation. Unfortunately, that isn't always true. My city has a real problem with nepotism, and the university is the city's cash cow, so the police tend to ignore a lot of issues, especially when it comes to the university. They lost nearly their entire robotics department around a decade ago because the university was, allegedly, misappropriating funds and wouldn't respond to them when they asked about it. If I recall correctly, they actually had a good amount of evidence, but the police just weren't interested. I can't even count how many times government and university officials have been investigated for corruption or, insert pretty much any other shady practices here, just to have the case swept under the rug while a low-level peon somewhere takes all the blame. If any is assigned in the first place, that is. For reference, it's a semi-major metropolitan area in the U.S. A city where our DA has been under a decades-long FBI investigation for corruption, but very few people seem to know or care. Go to the police. The police don't give a F about a university's reputation. Unfortunately, The police also generally don't give a F about men being victimized by women. I'm not capable of saying the story here, but just for awareness, my mother, while I was like 8 to 12. Same here, my mother is a waste of oxygen. I was abused physically, mentally, and sexually on the daily until I fought back. Then she spun the story and the cops arrested me at 13 for fighting back. I then had to go to a group home and she had the audacity to pick me up from there and send me to a mental hospital. I'm 40 now, have a loving, caring wife and 3 great kids. But my mind is eternally effed. I will not shed one tear when she dies. If you ever need to talk, I'm here. Added, thank you all for the support. It's nice to know there are good people still out there. It's also nice to have others that have had to deal with crap that I can relate to. Reddit has helped me so much the short time I've been on it. I'm glad you have such a great family. Have you gone to therapy? Your mind does not have to be eternally effed, heart. It took me 6 years of bi-weekly therapy, but over time it healed my brain. It's a tough process, but there is hope. I have, and it's not easy still. It carried over into when I served in the army as well, so added PTSD to that emotional crap. I have great meds and I cannot stress how much medical marijuana helps as well. I have an amazing support team with my wife and kids, so that helps immensely. For my brother and I both, it was our stepdad from 7 to 12. I'm so sorry that happened to you. I know it's a hell of a thing to deal with as an adult. I'm sorry this happened to you and your brother. Parents and step-parents are supposed to care and nurture their children and the children in their chosen family. How awful that you weren't treated with the care a child needs and instead harmed. I am so sorry. I'm so sorry that happened to you. A mother is supposed to love and protect her children, not be the one they need protecting from. I hope you are doing well in life. When I was 12, a nurse gave me a routine physical exam and then had me strip naked and lie down on the exam table. Saying it was part of the physical, she groped my testicles and fondled my penis until I got an erection. She then fingered and digitally penetrated my anus. For decades, I assumed it was just an embarrassing incident. It was only when I posted my experience on a Reddit thread and a bunch of people pointed out I had been assaulted that I recognized what happened. I didn't think I'd post about it again, but the attitude of your friend infuriated me because it was the same attitude I held that caused me so much shame. After all, if my dick got hard, I must have enjoyed it, right? It's a terrible and demeaning notion, one that's too often internalized by the abused. Aren't women also getting wet during rape? It doesn't mean they enjoyed the experience, it's just the same bodily response to the body being stimulated. I think same holds true for men. I could be wrong. Don't want to spread fake news. Yes, and they can orgasm too, just like men. It's simply a reaction to stimulation, you have no control over it. It's my understanding that part of the trauma from rape comes from the confusion that stems from the body responding to the physical stimuli while your mind is aware of the traumatic event. Yes, it is both an automatic response and also a way your body is trying to protect itself as it experiences the trauma. It's kind of infuriating to think that most, if not all, of sexual education courses treat an erection as something that happens exclusively as a result of arousal. Edit: a lot of sexual education courses treat an erection as something that happens. A friend of mine got raped and felt ashamed because she was wet, the same you must have liked it BS. All her shame dissolved when I told her this. Imagine being topless on a hot summer day. 2 people are standing next to you, one you hate, one you love. Both are holding an ice cube between their fingers against one of your nipples. How do you think your nipples will react? Do you think your nipples will respond according to your feeling towards the person holding the ice cube? No. Our bodies have physical responses to stimulus, cause and effect. There's no emotional intelligence involved. I wish this was part of sexual education. Edit: first reward ever, and I couldn't be happier. It's for this comment. Thank you. Godspeed, internet strangers. Edit 2, wow, this has blown up. Thanks everyone. I feel all fuzzy inside. I hope it reaches the people that need it most. Also today I learned apparently there's a term for this, arousal non-concordance. There's a comparison I heard on Law and Order that addressed this issue because the girlfriend of a male rape victim struggled to understand how a man would get an erection if he didn't want it. Benson said if you cut an onion sometimes it makes you cry, But just because you are crying doesn't mean you are actually sad, does it? Your body just responds. Or you could use an example of a doctor testing your reflexes. When that hammer makes your knee twitch or move that's not under your conscience will, so in the same way if you rub someone's genitals you can arouse them against they will. If anyone is curious of what episode I'm talking about, watch Law & Order SVU Season 13 I think, and the episode is called Parole Violations. If that's not the correct season, I know for sure that's the name of the episode, so you can find it. Edit. I looked it up, Season 16 Episode 17. It's the same principle indeed. Nice addition. I have never heard a comparison so accurate and easy to explain/comprehend. Shall 100% use this next time the you were hard so you enjoyed it BS comes up. That is helpful, thank you. Was blackout drunk at a party, got put to bed by a friend, and woke up to a girl bouncing on me. I was 14 and that was my virginity. I didn't feel violated or anything at the time or even today. But I didn't consent at all. Crap. Edit. Cheers for the awards, everyone. A lot are asking how 14-year-olds are drunk. I thought it was common for youngsters to party. Everyone in my town did this, regardless of the school they attended. Maybe it's because I'm from a poor region of the UK? To the couple asking if I could have given consent. Impossible. I'd been tucked up to bed, spark out, woke up to the deed being done before swiftly passing back out. I remember it but had it confirmed by the same friend who put me to bed. As he walked in a couple times during, he thought I'd woken up and done it, naturally. The points on virginity are interesting. Whenever I've said how I lost my virginity, I just said it was that situation, but I left out the gory bits. Had the exact same experience when I was in high school. I was 15. The only person I've ever told is my current significant other, telling her how I lost my virginity. It wasn't the romantic first time with the person you love story. Some people in the party actually busted into the room laughing and cheering. I'm so glad phones didn't have cameras back then. The girl was in the same year I was in, but she was 2 years older than me and she was a single mom. That last bit sounds about right. Imagine having to pay child support after that. I never thought about it that way. Fuck, I would have been screwed. So, you were 15, she was 17, still in the same great high school as you, and a single mom? Wow, she sounds like a recipe for disaster. That was crafty of her. But she seems like the kind of person who does that crap a lot. Who was this girl? Another girl at the party, from my school. Thank you for watching. If you like our videos, please like them on YouTube. And share them with your friends. Please subscribe to be the first to know about Red Rabbit Reader's new videos. We welcome your comments below. Another of our videos will begin shortly.